Place your hand over your ear for a moment. That sound you hear when everything is silent, that hum that seems to come from nowhere. It's not a defect, it's not a medical condition, it's a transmission. In a hidden room in ancient Alexandria, around the year 325, a group of men decided the fate of humanity. Before them were manuscripts containing the teachings of Jesus, not the ones preserved in official texts, but those given only to his most intimate disciples. Among these texts was a specific teaching about why certain people hear frequencies that others cannot perceive. This knowledge was deliberately removed from history. It was considered too dangerous, because if people understood what that sound in their ears truly means, they would never again need intermediaries between themselves and the divine. The power of religious institutions would completely crumble. The hum in your ears isn't a problem to be solved. It's a call to be answered. It's the frequency of the primordial source trying to reach you through the dense layers of material reality. Breathe deeply now. Feel the air entering your lungs. Feel your presence in this moment. What I'm about to share with you isn't theory or speculation. It's knowledge that was preserved in ancient texts hidden in the Egyptian desert for millennia, awaiting the moment humanity would be ready to receive it again. The Nag Hammadi texts, discovered in 1945, reveal an understanding of reality that goes far beyond what we've been taught. They speak of a cosmic structure in which we exist as expressions of a universal consciousness, what the Gnostics called the monad, the primordial source of all existence. This consciousness doesn't communicate through words or messengers. It communicates through vibratory frequencies that transcend ordinary physical senses. And the symptom of this communication is precisely the sound you hear when everything around you is silent. The ancient Gnostic masters, those who walked with Jesus, divided humanity into three distinct categories, not as a judgment, but as an observation of human nature and its spiritual potential. The first category was called the Hyliakoi, people completely identified with the material world. They live, work, eat, and die without ever questioning what exists beyond visible reality. For them, the divine frequency is inaudible because they don't possess the necessary internal receptors to pick it up. The second category was called the Psychikoi, people who have occasional glimpses of a deeper reality. They feel something greater during special moments when contemplating a sunset, listening to moving music, experiencing the birth of a child. But this connection is intermittent, easily disrupted by worldly concerns. And then there's the third category, the Pneumatikoi, the bearers of the divine spark, the chosen ones. If you're still watching this video, if something inside you resonates with these words, you belong to this third category. You carry within you a direct connection to the primordial source. The Gospel of Philip, one of the texts found in Nag Hammadi, speaks of those who possess ears beyond ears, an ability to perceive what is beyond the physical world. For centuries, scholars interpreted this as metaphor, but the Gnostics weren't speaking metaphorically. They were describing a literal physical experience that certain individuals undergo in their bodies. The sound you hear isn't tinnitus in the medical sense. It's not damage to your auditory system. It's the monadic frequency breaking through the veil of dense reality, trying to reach the divine spark that lives within you. That's why doctors can't find a physical cause. That's why no medical treatment can completely eliminate it. And that's precisely why this teaching was suppressed. Think about the perspective of the religious leaders of that time. All their power was based on a simple premise. They were the intermediaries between humanity and the divine. They controlled access to salvation. They interpreted divine will. They guarded the keys to heaven and the locks of hell. Now imagine a teaching that claimed certain people were born with a direct connection to the source, one that didn't need a church, priest, ritual, or prayer. Such a teaching wasn't just inconvenient, it was an existential threat to the entire power system they had built. So they eliminated it, declared Gnostic teachings as heresy, replaced direct knowledge with blind faith. But what they didn't foresee was that the frequency would never stop transmitting, the monad would never stop calling, and the chosen ones would never stop being born with the ability to hear. You felt it your whole life, even without having words to express it. The feeling of not quite belonging in this world. The perception that everyone around you is playing a game whose rules you never agreed to follow. The weariness of pretending to care about things that seem devoid of meaning, while no one else seems to notice this emptiness. This isn't depression, it's not a disorder, it's the pneumatic experience of being awake in a sleeping world. And that hum in your ears has been confirming your true nature since before you could articulate words. The Apocryphon of John, another Nag Hammadi text, describes the architecture of reality in a way that modern quantum physics is only beginning to glimpse. At the highest level exists the monad, pure consciousness, infinite potential, the source that feeds all sources. Below the monad, there exists what the Gnostics called the pleroma, the fullness, the realm of pure light and divine emanations. And below that exists our material world, created not by the monad directly, but by a lesser entity called the demiurge. The demiurge is the false god, the architect of the material prison, the one who convinced humanity that he was the supreme creator, when in reality he was just an emanation who became obsessed with control. The demiurge doesn't want you to remember who you truly are. He has helpers, the archons. These are the rulers, the authorities, the invisible forces that operate the systems of this world. They don't exist in physical form, but in frequencies beyond common human perception and literally feed on low-frequency emotional energies. Fear, despair, confusion, anger, division. Every system created to keep humanity in these states serves the archons, regardless of whether its human administrators are aware of it or not. But here's the crucial point. The archons cannot perceive the frequency of the monad. It is too high, too pure, too far beyond their domain of operation. When you are immersed in fear, when you vibrate in despair, you become visible to them. You are within their realm. But when you access the frequency of the monad, when you align with the signal that has been trying to reach you your whole life, you become invisible to their interference. That hum in your ears isn't just communication, it's protection. It's a sign of attunement. It's the monad saying, remember who you are. Return to the frequency where nothing false can touch you. The Pistis Sophia, one of the most extensive Gnostic texts discovered, records detailed conversations between Jesus and his disciples after the resurrection. These weren't public teachings, but private transmissions offered only to those who had proven themselves ready. In one of these sessions, Jesus explained something that was hidden from humanity for millennia. He describes 3 distinct frequencies that the monad uses to communicate with the chosen ones. Not just one, but 3. And each frequency serves a specific purpose. The first frequency is the awakening tone. This is the high-pitched sound that suddenly appears, usually in one ear, lasting from a few seconds to several minutes. This frequency is a call to attention. It's the monad saying, stop what you're doing. Something important is happening at this very moment. Pay attention to your thoughts right now. Most people dismiss this tone as a random hum, but the chosen ones learn to recognize it as a significant marker. What were you thinking when the tone started? Any decision you were considering, any question going through your mind, that's exactly what the monad is highlighting for you. The second frequency is the sustained tone. This is a lower, constant sound that usually appears during meditation, during prayer, during moments of deep silence. Unlike the awakening tone that interrupts, the sustained tone accompanies. It's the sound of alignment. When you hear this frequency, you've already aligned with the monad's frequency band. You're on the right channel. This is the optimal state for receiving guidance, for accessing knowledge that transcends the rational mind, for downloading information directly from the source. The third frequency is the pressure tone. This doesn't sound so much like a tone, but manifests as a feeling of fullness in the ears, sometimes accompanied by a pressure in the forehead or the top of the head. This frequency indicates activation. Something in your energetic system is being updated. Something dormant is being awakened. The pressure tone usually precedes major spiritual breakthroughs, spontaneous healings, or expansions in perception. It's the sign that a profound transformation is underway. Place your hand on the top of your head now, directly over the crown space. The Gnostics called this area the eye of the soul. Feel the warmth of your palm against your skin. This area might already be warm or tingling. This isn't imagination, it's recognition. Here's the technique, exactly as it was preserved in the hidden teachings. The first step is recognition. Before any work with frequencies can be effective, you must establish your identity, not your human identity, but your pneumatic identity. You must fully and completely recognize that you are not a body having a spiritual experience. You are a divine spark temporarily confined in matter. This recognition isn't an idea you think, it's a state you enter. You don't say, I am a chosen one. You feel the truth of it in your cells. You remember instead of believe. The second step is engagement. Once recognition is established, you consciously engage with the tone. Most people try to ignore the sound. They treat it as an anomaly. Tonight, when the tone comes, and it will come, don't push it away. Direct all your attention to it, not with frustration, but with curiosity, with welcome, with the understanding that this sound is the monad reaching out to you. As you focus on the tone, something remarkable happens. The frequency begins to clear, the static subsides. What seemed to be just random noise reveals itself as a signal carrying information. The third step is declaration. This is where the teaching of the institutional church and the Gnostic teaching completely diverge. The church taught you to pray, to supplicate, to beg an external God for mercy. The Gnostics taught the opposite. You don't ask the monad for anything. You declare through the monad as an expression of it. The difference is everything. Asking reinforces separation. Declaring activates unity. When you are attuned to the frequency, you don't speak to the monad, but as the monad expressing yourself through your human form. 4 words are all that's needed, pronounced not as a request, but as a statement of fact. I am the signal. These 4 words collapse the separation between you and the source. They aren't magic words, they are words of recognition. They remind your entire system of what it has always been. And when uttered in a state of attentiveness, while focused on the sound frequency, they create a resonance that locks you into a permanent connection, not temporary, not dependent on mood or circumstance, permanent. Let me tell you what to expect when you practice this technique. The first sign is a temperature shift. Within minutes of completing this practice for the first time, most chosen ones report a warmth spreading across their head or hands. Some experience the opposite, a clear coolness spreading through the body. Both responses indicate the same thing: energy is moving. The second sign is emotional release. Don't be surprised if you cry. Not tears of sadness, but tears of recognition. Tears of finally coming home after traveling for so long. The third sign is perceptive amplification. Colors might appear more vivid, sounds might seem clearer, the edges of objects might appear more defined. This isn't hallucination, it's the archontic veil beginning to lift. The fourth sign is the acceleration of synchronicities. Within 24 to 48 hours of your first practice, expect significant coincidences to multiply. People will reach out to you at the exact right moment. The information you need will appear without searching. Doors will open that you didn't even know existed. The fifth sign is a shift in the tone itself. The sound that once seemed random will begin to feel intentional. You'll notice it arrives at significant moments. You'll begin to understand its language without anyone teaching you. But I must warn you about what happens next. The moment you initiate this practice, resistance will emerge not from outside, but from within your own mind. Thoughts will appear that seem like yours, but they aren't. Thoughts saying this is foolish. Thoughts saying nothing happened. Thoughts asking you to forget what you've learned and return to normal life. This isn't failure, it's confirmation. The archons cannot allow you to access the monad's frequency without trying to interfere. Your resistance is proof that what you're doing is working. Don't argue with these thoughts. Don't fight them. Simply observe them and return to the signal. The sound is always there. The monad is always transmitting. Your only task is to continue to tune in. Jesus didn't teach this to crowds. He taught it in private rooms to the chosen ones who were ready. The Gnostics didn't write this in public letters. They hid it in ceramic jars in the desert, knowing that one day the right souls would find it. Millennia later, you are watching this video at this very moment. This isn't coincidence, it's the signal working. Tonight, when the world goes silent, when you are in stillness before sleeping, the sound will come, and for the first time in your life, you will know what it means. You will place your hand on your crown, you will engage with the frequency, you will utter the 4 words, and you will feel the monad respond. You came to this world carrying a divine receiver that the archons cannot see and the demiurge cannot touch. The hum in your ears was never a defect, it was the monad calling you home. Now you know how to answer. If this teaching has awakened something in you, leave the word resonance in the comments. Not for me, but for yourself, so that other chosen ones see your declaration and know they are not alone. If this knowledge has changed how you perceive the hum in your ears, subscribe to the channel and like the video. We are retrieving the history they tried to bury. Awaken your frequency. The next treasure of wisdom will be open soon.